Today is day 9 of Valorant Champions and we have 2 matches for today, Leviatán versus LEV and DRX versus FPX. Since playoffs start today, we also have a live audience now for Champions, so assuming the quality is fine, I'll try and include their reactions at times as well. Leviatán vs LEV is our first series, and I feel like Leviatán were the slight favorite going into this one, especially considering how good they've looked in their first 2 matches at Champions. Our maps for this series are Icebox for LEV, Haven for Leviatán, and then Ascent as the decider. The team comps are an exact mirror matchup for Icebox, and it is LEV's map pick, so it was expected for them to win this map. I also want to quickly mention that the tournament is being shoutcasted in Turkish for the crowd, so at times when I'm showing the gameplay, you'll hear the casters in English, as well as some echo from the Turkish casters in the background. A round worth showing for Icebox is round 24. Also for a bit more context, Leviatán were up 12-6 earlier in this half.
They're gonna go.
Yeah, 22 seconds left now with a fragment nade up into the top of the nest. Undisputed into the back of it. That's a Snowman. Has to try and help them out, but it's just narrowly avoiding the shots. Side to side, but eventually the damage is going to be sweeping through them. But the spike has been planted.
And Sadak was too late with the null command. It didn't cancel the Hunter's Fury or the Viper's Pit, but Sassy again, being the miracle worker for Loud in OT.
Sassy has been an absolute maniac, and the shots are fired. One after the other, only 3 players left standing. But do they have enough to try and offset it with the Viper's Pit online? It's a snake bite, what a peek by Aspas! And they can hear it, the defuse is online. A triple swing, sticking it, sticking it, sticking it! You gotta be kidding me! King did the most!
That was a wild finish there. Les sticks the spike through the Viper molly with 20 HP left, even as King just dismantles his entire team. The only thing I'm a little bit confused about here from LEV is that it feels like they took all this extra space on site. You know, they pushed up, I think they even put the Sage Wall really deep on site so they had more space, and they dropped the Viper's Pit. But where this Viper's Pit is, as soon as the Viper gets forced out, it's done. The ult's just going to be gone. And I feel like if they just planted this default, put the Viper's Pit down like you usually would, they would have won this round pretty easily because they would have just been able to play back and actually use the Viper's Pit. So a little bit of a misplay there from LEV that might have ended up costing them this map. Now again, Icebox was Loud's map pick, but it definitely feels like they should not have won that. Not to discredit them at all, but LEV were up 12-6. They had 6 different map points. And again, like I showed in that last round before overtime, they very easily could have won that one. And yet it went to overtime and Loud closed it out 14-12. Now after that, went to Haven for map 2. This is a very good map for Leviatán and a pretty bad map for Loud. So Leviatán were expected to take Haven. Now what I want to show from Haven is that it just one shot, not even a full round, just this one shot here from Loud. He's just doing a crouching jump peek and his head just gets taken right off. You can see Les's perspective here. He's not even like waiting for it. His crossover was sort of there, but still, that shot was insane. And that almost feels like the story of how Haven went. LEV were just playing very, very well. They were hitting all their shots. Leviatán were missing a lot of their shots. They just didn't play very well. And I think especially comparatively to what we saw them do against teams like FPX and Team Liquid. I've been saying this a lot over the past years, but it feels like this isn't the same team that we saw. I was really looking forward to see Leviatán throughout this tournament, and I still think they've got it in them to make a run in the lower brackets. But losing to Loud, especially after being up 12-6 on Loud's map pick, is pretty disappointing. Yeah, Loud just looked very, very good on Haven. The King still did really good. Credit to him, 340 ACS. But the rest of LEV simply just did not show up, and Loud looked very, very good. Super, super composed from them to not only come back down from 12-6 on the first map, but then to roll Leviatán on one of their best maps is a wild effort. So now that means Loud move on to the upper semi-finals. Meanwhile, Leviatán are in the lower bracket, and they will verse the loser of our next game, DRX versus FPX. So heading straight into the next match for these 2 teams, I think FPX were the favorite heading into this one. DRX have become infamous for pretty much getting worse as the tournament goes on. They'll do insane in groups and then just fall off in the rest of the tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against FPX. The maps for this series are Ascent for FPX, Breeze for DRX, and then Icebox as the decider. Looking at Ascent, both teams are going basically for their usual comps. FPX have no duelist, meanwhile, DRX have a Jet with 3 initiators. This map went the absolute distance, and it all started with Ardiis in round 25.
Walking around.
No way,
And Ardiis Wonderland gets spike recovered, 24 seconds now. He's going to creep up on the side. He wants to plant. He might actually get it as well. Okay, one goes in and gets to dip away. Does get marked though. Prowler, not a problem just yet. Another.
No way!
Oh my God! The man can do no wrong! One of the greats to stand on this.
I mean, that play speaks for itself. Then nearly 10 rounds later, Stax needs a 1v2 to even have another round of overtime.
The flash. One's already down on side. The second comes flying.
Defense
in.
1 HP.
The 1v1. Oh, it's Stax is 30. Hot goes up. He's looking for him anywhere he can, and the dance begins. Stax and Stax goes huge.
Now for this map of Valorant, there are going to be so many different talking points, but I think round 35 is going to be one of the biggest ones. DRX here in a 2v4.
Stax and Zest this time. Surely you can't clutch it out again. I have no idea he's here this early. He's got one scot-free.
Oh my god! What?
Not again! Not again!
They should not in any world be able to win that. As you can probably tell from the fact that there were 36 rounds, this map of Valorant was incredible, particularly overtime onwards. It was so back and forth, and there was like at least 10 different times where you thought, oh okay, the game's finally over. And then someone just did something that should have been impossible. I mean, when the bottom fraggers of both teams have 18 kills, one guy single-handedly has 10 first kills, this might just be one of the greatest maps of Valorant of all time. After that masterpiece of a map, we're now heading to Breeze for map 2. DRX have a fairly normal comp, meanwhile FPX have both the Viper and an Omen, which is a little weird for Breeze. The round I want to show for Breeze is a little early on, but you'll see here, look at the stakes. DRX are on a bonus in a 2v5, but Stax and Marco don't care.
10 seconds now. 10 seconds left. And they need more than this, and oh, maybe they got it!
Stax?
Stax! How? How have you brought this to a 2v2? This was looking all but over. The gap here, Stax just gonna be tapping in on this one, trying to maybe some blood, and he sees him! Marco's got Shao, and I cannot believe it again! DRX looked out of that round.
We did miss a few of the shots there, but you can see them all in the replay here.
And at this point, it felt like it was done for.
What is that, Stax?
That follow-up.
Insane 2v5 there for DRX, and the rest of this map was pretty one-sided.
Stay in this matchup, and they're dancing around him, and it's from tears in the rain to singing in the rain. DRX, carry on forward.
DRX did actually end up beating FPX. Massive feat considering that FPX only just won Masters Copenhagen. And I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up, but DRX are looking very, very dangerous. Although how many times has that been said in past tournaments? Stax and Zest both had incredible games on Breeze. I'm almost surprised that FPX actually let Breeze through, considering that X had absolutely rolled them on Breeze. It didn't look like a very good map for them, and now here we are, 13-5 again. If I'm being honest, Breeze wasn't all that special, it was just a very good showing of DRX, but Ascent I still think is going to go down in history as one of the best maps of Valorant ever. That clutch from Ardiis was just mind-blowing. Everything about that map was amazing. So now this means that DRX and LAD will face off in the upper semi-finals. Meanwhile, FPX will versus Leviatán in the lower round, and the loser of that will be eliminated. That's it for Champions today. Tomorrow we have two very good matchups, and both of them are NA vs EU. We have Optic vs Team Liquid, and Exit vs Fnatic. And originally I would have easily said, okay, Optic's gonna win and Fnatic's gonna win. But having seen the matches today, now I'm not so sure. Either way though, we should have two very good games of Valorant tomorrow.